afternoon, everyone. We'll call to order the May 14th, 2025 meeting of the Forward Pinellas Board. If we could, if everyone could go ahead and join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, if we could go around the room and introduce ourselves for the record, that would be great. I see we've got most everyone here. Commissioner Eggers, we could start with you. Oh, sorry.
No problem. Dave Eggers, Pinellas County Commission.
Tom Shelley, Deputy Mayor of Bel Air.
He forgot where he was the mayor of. Renee Flowers, Pinellas County Commissioner, District 7.
Mike Menino, Clearwater City Council Member.
Brian Scott, Pinellas County Commission.
Karen Love, Mayor of Gulfport.
Mike Eisner, Vice Mayor, Tarpon Springs.
Chris Shear, Pinellas County Commission.
Dave Albritton, Clearwater City Council.
And I'm Whit Blanton, your Executive Director.
Thank you. And I'm Gina Driscoll, St. Petersburg City Council, and honored to serve as the chair of the board. All right. Next, we may have citizens to be heard. Tina, do we have any citizens who have requested to speak today?
No, Madam Chair, we do not.
All right, thank you. We'll close out that portion and go on to our recognitions and announcements. And for that today, our Executive Director, Whit Blanton, will be recognizing a couple of folks from the team today.
Well, this is part good news and part sad news, but first I want to call up Chelsea Favreau of our staff. And I want to recognize Chelsea for sticking with us for so long. Congratulations, Chelsea. This is for 20 years. You get the pin to go with it. Fabulous. And just want to say thank you very much for all your service. Just want to say a couple of remarks at the beginning. Chelsea is our MPO division manager, so she's responsible for the planning program of the MPO side of Forward Pinellas. And she's been with the county now 20 years, so she's done a lot of different things for the county. She's been with the planning department, she's been with purchasing, and now she's been back here since I've been here for 10 years and longer than that. And I just want to say how happy I am that I have a right-hand person like Chelsea, who is a little bit of my opposite in some ways. She pays a lot of attention to detail. She is very deadline-oriented. She follows the rules and regulations pretty well. She does all the things that complement me, and I need that. I really do. And so Rodney is also a good complement on the land use side. So and she does a great job running the team, managing the MPO program. And if you haven't figured it out, the MPO program is pretty complex. We have to respond to federal requirements. We have to respond to state laws, which seem to change every year. And a lot of reporting requirements and a lot of transparency requirements. And she's just been masterful at it. So I just want to say thank you again. Thank you. Say a few words, if you want.
Well, it's been a great 20 years. I started as an intern and worked my way up. And I can promise I will not be here another 20. But it's been a pleasure. Thank you all so much.
All right, and then this is the last meeting that Ariane Martins is going to be with us as a planner, and she's really done a great job working on the long-range transportation plan, the transportation improvement program, and she usually walks you through the changes in the transportation improvement program and the work program. And her analytical skills and background in engineering have really been helpful for this agency. Unfortunately, she's leaving us to go to the Houston-Galveston Area Council, So Ariane, if you want to say a few words, please come on up. And again, I want to say thank you for all the time and effort you've put in here at Forward Pinellas. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to say thank you, and I'm incredibly grateful for all the experience I had here at Forward Pinellas. And I'm happy to take all of these lessons to Houston Galveston Area Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Ariana, I had the pleasure of meeting a group of folks from Galveston a couple of weeks ago who joined us in St. Petersburg as part of a benchmarking trip. And so I got to meet a couple of their city council members there and a whole bunch of people who are really excited about the future of that area. So I know that you're going to have some friendly faces there to go to. You're going to be missed here, but I do wish you all the best. And Chelsea, thank you so much for your 20 years of service. You're just an amazing representative of Forward Pinellas, whether it's here in this room or beyond when you're out in the community, making it all make sense for us. So thank you for all that you do. All right, we'll go ahead and move on next to the consent agenda. Do we have any board members who would like to pull an item from the consent agenda to be handled individually?
Move
No?
approval.
Okay, we have a motion for approval.
So moved.
Okay, thank you. Sorry if I didn't hear before, but we do have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, please say aye. 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 Any opposed? The motion carries.
Madam
Oh.
Chair, for the record, there are no citizens wishing to speak on the consent agenda today.
Yeah, thanks, and sorry, I forgot to ask on that one. Okay. Next, we have our public hearing items, and first we'll take up item 6A. This is the proposed amendments to the Transportation Improvement Program. And I believe that item will, I have here that Chelsea, but no, we have.
It's me again.
Hello again.
We're going to let her go out with the final presentation.
Okay, perfect.
So the Unified Planning Work Program outlines the planning activities that Forward Pinellas would undertake. During the fiscal year 2024, some of the planning funds remain unspent. So we're requesting to add the closeout funds from the fiscal 2024 to the fiscal year 2026. This will raise the budgetary ceiling to $6,513,956.
The advantage of doing this is that if we modify this, those funds are available as of July 1st of 2026 or 2025, which is the 2026 fiscal year. If we didn't take this action, we wouldn't have those dollars available for another year.
All right. Any questions? And I believe this is an action item, right?
It is an action item.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Tina, did you get that?
I got Commissioner Flowers as the first. The second was Menino, I believe. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do we have any citizens who wish to speak on this item?
No, Madam Chair, we do not, but it is a roll call vote.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second for item 6A. All those in favor, please.
She's got to do a roll call.
Oh, you need roll call. Okay, have at it.
For those who don't know, just all the amendments to the TIP and the adoption and amendments to the long-range plan by state statute require a roll call vote.
Noted. Thank you.
That's fine. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't.
Go ahead. Commissioner Eggers? Deputy Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Commissioner Flowers?
Yes.
Councilmember Menino?
Aye.
Commissioner Scott?
Yes.
Mayor Freeney?
Aye.
Councilmember Floyd?
Aye.
Mayor Ayub? Councilmember Albritton?
Aye.
Commissioner Shearer?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Mayor Love?
Yes.
Councilmember Fig Sanders? Councilmember Driscoll.
Yes.
That carries unanimously.
All right, thank you. Next, we'll move into our presentations and action items, starting with the PSTA activities report. And I believe Councilmember Fig Sanders is giving that report today.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. As of May 2025 update, our ridership in new services. Overall ridership for March was down slightly 1%. However, several new tourist-oriented services saw very high ridership increases. The Clearwater Ferry ridership was very high this spring break, up 79% from 3,063 rides in March to 5,471 in April, and which was higher even than pre-pandemic levels. As you all have heard, on April 27, 2025, the Clearwater Ferry was tragically hit by another boat, and one passenger died and 10 others seriously injured. PSTA and the Clearwater Ferry are heartbroken for the person who lost their life, everyone who was hurt, and their families. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission is leading the investigation, and PSTA and the ferry are fully cooperating. The ferry service resumed on May 8, 2025, and is operating again each Thursday through Sunday in Clearwater. In regards to PSTA's Grouper Airport Express from St. Pete Clearwater Airport to Clearwater Beach, we had a really strong ridership in its first year, as ridership was up 43%, with 670 riders in April on this on-demand service. Regarding our connected community bus network, the PSTA board adopted what's called the Connected Community Bus Network at the March 26th meeting, which outlined streamlined and improved bus routes throughout the entire county starting this October 2025. Between now and October, PSTA will be getting out in the community to inform riders of the changes and is happy to brief cities as they gave a good briefing on to the city of Ozamar on March 6, 2025. Lastly, our PSTA UPass program. PSTA's UPass program is a partnership program with Pinellas County schools, universities, businesses, and neighborhoods where organizations pay an annual fee to PSTA to allow their students or employees or residents to ride for free. UPass ridership from all participants hit a record in March 2025 with over 200,000 rides taken by students, hotel employees, and guests, etc. And that will be the conclusion of the report, Madam Chair.
All right. Thank you so much. Any questions for Councilmember Fig Sanders regarding the PSTA report? Great. We'll go ahead and move on then to our regional activities report with Whit Blanton.
All right. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I just want to update the board on a couple of things that are happening regionally. One is we have a Transportation Management Area Leadership Group meeting and a Suncoast Transportation Planning Alliance meeting on Friday, May 23rd. They're at the PSTA headquarters. So I think we mentioned it at the workshop. If anybody wants to come, you're more than welcome to come. Those meetings begin on Friday morning, 9:30, is that correct? 9:30 9:30. And the TMA meeting goes for 1 hour, and then we'll move to the SCTPA. For the TMA meeting, we have 3 representatives to that body, although any board member can go and vote on behalf of the board if we didn't have all 3 there for whatever reason. For the SCTPA, that covers a larger region that goes from Citrus County on the north to Sarasota County and then Polk County. And it's a legacy of regional coordination that we've been doing since 1993, when the Hillsborough and Pinellas chairs began having lunch together. Maybe that was like 1990, but by 1993, it was enshrined in state statutes that we have that regional coordination. I think it still provides a really good opportunity for us to hear what's going on and what's of interest regionally in the Tampa Bay, larger Tampa Bay area. On the agenda for the TMA leadership group, and the meetings have some similar items, we will be welcoming the new CEO of Tampa International Airport, who will come to the meeting and talk to us a little bit about his vision for regional transportation. And there was a nice story in the Tampa Bay Times today, at least on the online version, about that. If you haven't seen that, I encourage you to read it. We will be approving the multi-use trail priorities for the region, and the role of, we'll be discussing the role of transit providers in a regional MPO. And right now, those transit providers vote on our respective MPO boards. With the regional MPO, the consensus so far is that they would be non-voting advisors in that role. And then we'll also talk about our regional project prioritization alignment efforts. Hillsborough TPO was awarded a grant about 6 months ago. We're unsure if that grant will be fully delivered to us, but we're still going to work to look at ways that our prioritization methodologies, cost-benefit analyses, things like that can be aligned so that we're working similarly. These are all steps we're taking to the regional effort. The last thing I want to mention is that the staff directors met to review and recommend the selection of a legal and management consultant to advise us on the next phase of the regional MPO merger activities. That consultant will be approved by the Hillsborough TPO, which did the procurement at their June 11th meeting. So we expect that consultant to be up and running in the summer, hopefully by July. And they will be facilitating a series of conversations at the staff level with the business community, with elected officials, and they'll be bringing different models and ideas and alternatives for us to review and evaluate. And I just want to say, if you have not seen the opinion editorial piece by Freddie Williams about the regional merger of the Boys and Girls Club, I commend that to you. It was in the Tampa Bay Times about a week ago, and there were some really good points he made about how you elevate and scale up an organization from maybe county-based to regional, and that was from a nonprofit perspective, but I think a lot of those points hold true for even a government agency. And then I'll direct your attention to a letter that's in the packet from the Tampa Bay Partnership, signed on by, I believe, if not all, most of the chambers of commerce, Michael Stevens from the Tampa International Airport and others representing the business community who are advocating for us to keep proceeding and make these next steps real for the merger. And when I presented to the Pinellas Board of County Commissioners, and we heard similar conversation at the joint Board of County Commissioners meeting between Pasco, Hillsborough, and Pinellas, the question's been raised about who's asking for this, who wants this to happen. And it's been clear since I've been here, it's the business community that has been advocating for this. They're not the only ones, but they've been a consistent voice. I don't know if you all remember when Rick Homans was the CEO of the Tampa Bay Partnership 5-6 years ago. He was actively pushing state legislation that would have forced us to merge. And I think Bemitra Simmons is taking a little bit different approach, but still very much bringing people together and facilitating those conversations. So we're at the very beginning still of this, and we're going to have a lot more conversations, but I do think it's helpful to have that voice in your packet. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was just going to add, it seemed that there was a little bit of, I won't say consensus, but just some feeling about having a smaller board than we have. We've kind of been moving in the direction of 25 members, 2 from our airport and the port, and then 23 elected members. And though we have people that were, exhibiting support, they were kind of thinking that that was maybe a little unwieldy, and maybe we could think about that. So I'm sure that's something we'll have in discussions at our TMA in the meetings to come. But that was all.
Right. I mean, you're on a 19-member board now. I think so far it's been working okay, but 25 is that much bigger. It's a little harder to manage. I think the rationale for that was to reflect the diversity of our region, but you make a good point. You want those voices to be heard, and I think there was a number of voices that said 25 might be too large, so we're going to revisit that. Any other questions for me? All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, and thanks for that update. I'm looking forward to that meeting, and I hope that everyone will consider joining to not only have that, front row seat to what we're talking about here, but it also gives you an opportunity to meet some of our counterparts from Pasco and Hillsborough. And, you know, for me, it's helped me to create some really good relationships, especially when we're talking about regional issues and things that matter to all of us.
Madam Chair, if I could just also point out that both of those meetings will be streamed live, so you can't participate and vote that way, but you can watch the meetings and ask questions that way.
Yes, get the popcorn ready. It's riveting. Really, it is. Okay, so we'll go ahead and go to the draft transportation priorities, item 7C. We just can't get enough of Chelsea today.
Oh, I just keep coming back. All right, so I'm going to walk through the draft transportation priorities. These are in your packet, but I do have some slides to just kind of walk through some of the highlights. So as a reminder, we do adopt these transportation priorities on an annual basis. We update the lists to make sure that the project limits are aligned, adjust any of the project statuses, and also add new priorities as they come in. In your packet, you'll notice that some of the line items are highlighted, they're shaded. That indicates that some kind of change has been made to the project since it was adopted last year. And we do keep projects on the list until they're 100% complete. So you'll notice at the top of the list, there's an unfunded section, or I'm sorry, at the top there's a funded section, and at the bottom it's unfunded. So that's why it's split up. There are 3 projects being removed because they've been completed. That includes the I-275 express lanes, Park Starkey sidewalks, that's a Pinellas County project, and then operational improvements along Pasadena Avenue. So since they're now completely done, all the crews have left the work sites, they're coming off the list. We have 2 projects that are newly funded with this next work program. That includes curb extensions in the Grand Central District. This was a City of St. Petersburg project that they had applied for and were awarded funding through our competitive grant programs. And then a corridor study on State Road 60. And this corridor study includes the intersection of the Belcher and State Road 60 area. And that comes up, that's a very high priority for a lot of people, so that's why we're calling that one out. We're proposing to add 3 new projects to the priority list. The first is 60th Street from 78th Avenue up to 82nd Avenue North. This is in the city of Pinellas Park. The city submitted an application through our call for projects for this and was the highest ranked to receive the funding. This project includes the addition of a side path and other treatments to benefit all users. In the bottom right-hand corner is a photo of that stretch of road. There's a curve through there, and there have been a number of crashes resulting from the geometry of the roadway. Number 4 is a triple R supplement. Triple R projects are basically resurfacing projects that are carried out by the Florida Department of Transportation. And with the development of the last long-range transportation plan, we worked with the local governments to set aside funding annually to be able to provide additional improvements when the Department of Transportation is out there resurfacing a roadway. This could include additional crossings or high visibility markings, additional signage, things like that to really make sure that we're getting all the safety benefits possible out of our resurfacing program. And number 13 is a multimodal trail along State Road 60, connecting the Duke Energy Trail to the Courtney Campbell Causeway Trail. In terms of project updates, we have 4 new projects that are now under construction. These include the Courtney Campbell Causeway overpass, the Pinellas Trail Loop from 126th Avenue up to Ulmerton Road, Skinner Boulevard in Dunedin, and the Duke Energy Trail crossing at State Road 60. There are 3 projects on there that we are proposing for removal that have not been constructed. The first is titled on the list Dunedin Causeway Operational Improvements. Now, there are actually operational improvements already underway on the causeway. This specific line item was for the construction of a roundabout inside the park. FDOT funds cannot be spent inside of a state park. So that project is sitting there and it is unable to receive funding through our process. So that's why it's coming off the list. We have committed to continuing to work with the city and the state to try to improve the entryway to the park to help with the mobility and the traffic stream there. But keeping it on our list is absolutely nothing for the project. So that's why that one's coming off. The other is a bike ped overpass at the Duke Energy Trail and State Road 580. This is in the Duke Energy corridor, and Duke has told us in no uncertain words that it is not possible to construct an overpass at that location. So it's coming off the list. The other is...
Chelsea, can I interrupt you on that one? It's also pretty low volume part of the trail, and the cost of constructing an overpass might be $7 or $8 million. And given the number of riders and users we see out there, I just don't think it makes financial sense to keep pushing for that. But if demand rapidly increases and we see some changes in the coming years, we can go back and have that conversation with Duke. I think they were pretty clear, but they were also a little wiggly about that as well. If you remember the conversation from a while back, they were more definitive about the one at Gulf to Bay than this one.
And then the last project being proposed for, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I don't know. I haven't had my weekly call with Tom Washburn about that light. So I'm just trying to get an understanding on how that actually is, triggered, because it was my understanding originally, and it's why I kind of backed off the overpass piece, that it wouldn't go red unless cars coming out of that, I guess it's like a condo townhome, or that's the only place, or the trail crossers would initiate it. So I'm just wanting to make sure that that's still the case. It seems like every once in a while I see a red light there and there's no cars coming out, there's nobody on the trail coming, and to me that is not what we talked about, and I just want to make sure that there is that connection being made.
I'll double check on it, but I'm fairly certain that that is the case. Quite possibly what you saw is if a vehicle came up to that light, may have run over the tubes or the loops in the ground and then took a right-hand turn, that might have told the signal to change. And so when you come up to it, you might not see a car there.
That's fine. I will look a little more closely, but if you could just double check on that,
Absolutely.
that would be great.
I think another point is that when the cyclist pressed the button to change the light, it times it with the downstream lights to the east and to the west. So you won't just get a signal there unless there's also a timed with the signal at Summerdale, I think, and then Countryside Boulevard. So they're linked and in sequence.
I'm watching closely because I'm not sure that technology is in play completely, but
Okay.
anyway, we'll see.
We'll follow up with
We'll
you.
see. Thank you.
Oh, Mayor Freeney?
So obviously I can't say I have to say something about that coming off the list. So what are you really saying? You're saying that totally has to be funded by the parks area for the state?
It has to come from some other line item in the state budget, but not the Florida Department of Transportation.
Okay, and are they recommending targeting any other type of line item other than?
Chelsea, I can try to answer that. So we've had a lot of dialogue, as you probably know,
Right.
over the years with the park, with the city, with the state. So not only can we not use state of Florida DOT funds, but we can't use federal funds on it either. So it's not eligible for that. So we've written a letter to the park saying we think they should pay for it. They've responded that they would like to first evaluate the new operations with the additional toll plazas that are at the entrance to Honeymoon Island State Park. They've had plenty of time to do that. We did a field observation. I think Rodney led that work, where we had a consultant that evaluated all the movements out there, and the turnaround is absolutely needed from an operational standpoint. We're just going to try and work with our legislative delegation and work with the state park Department of Environmental Protection to see if we can get that funded at some point. But it's going to have to come from a funding source we don't control, unfortunately. The city could pay for it, or another local government. So I'm just offering those options up. It could come from
the
local
cars
funds.
are going to the state park, basically, so for the
Yeah.
most part. That's fine. I mean, we were up there during the, the legislative delegation week for Florida League, and 4 of the 5 of us were there, so we'll pound the drum the way we can, too, so.
And then the last project is a connection from the Gateway Express, from the Gateway Express down onto Roosevelt Boulevard. That has long been planned as kind of a component of the Gateway Expressway. However, now that the expressway is opening and functioning, the Florida Department of Transportation took a look at it and realized they don't believe that that extra little piece is actually needed. So that is coming off the list for right now.
All right, thank you. Any other questions on this part? Okay.
All right, the other part is the transportation alternatives list. Now, we keep this list separate because transportation alternatives funding is dedicated for bicycle and pedestrian improvements only. And it is a very small pot of money. And that's why you won't see any big bike ped overpasses on this list. They're more smaller, very localized projects. We do an annual call for projects to our local governments for this list, and we received 4 applications. One is from the city of Pinellas Park for 60th Street from 70th Avenue up to Park Boulevard. This is actually a continuation of the priority on the other list. It's another section of 60th Street. And then 3 from the city of St. Petersburg. That includes 62nd Avenue South from 16th Street over to MLK, 9th Avenue North sidewalk gaps. This is in the stretch from about 66th Street over to the Pinellas Trail and beyond towards 71st Street, and then the Lakewood Trail in South St. Petersburg. We took these lists to our committees, and we had a few smaller questions from the BPAC, the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and the Technical Coordinating Committee. But our Citizens Committee did make a motion, and they want to express their support for expediting improvements to the intersection of State Road 60 and Belcher, and also wanted to stress that there are other planned improvements in the area, particularly on Belcher Road and also Drew and State Road 590. And so they wanted to express to the board that they would like to see these projects coordinated together into the future so that that whole area isn't torn up for years and years on end. So the next steps, we're going to continue to refine these lists. We find new typos every single day, so we're going to make sure they're all cleaned up. They're going to be going to the committees this coming month for final action, and then it'll come back to you in June for final action as well. Once we take final action on the priority list, we're going to send them over to the Florida Department of Transportation, and they're going to use those to develop the next work program. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Councilmember Menino.
Thank you. And what you may know the answer. State Road 60 and Belcher, how many times have we actually studied this intersection?
Well, I don't know how many times we've studied it, but we've been looking at it for a long time. The Pinellas County Public Works Transportation Department has been doing an engineering evaluation of this intersection for a number of years. They've recently asked the Florida Department of Transportation to take over completing the project development environmental process. I asked DOT to really look at the entire corridor rather than just focus on completing the PD&E for the interchange, because it's a system, and what you do at this intersection might affect Keene or Hercules or another downstream intersection. And Gulf to Bay is really a deadly road in a lot of ways. So there's a lot of safety and maybe shorter range, lower cost strategies that the department could identify through this process. So the county and the city and Ford Pinellas are all partners to this effort, being led by FDOT. And you know, it does seem like we study transportation forever here, but it is a continuing process. And what this will do is it'll freshen up the data because some of the data from the county study is probably a little dated now. And then we'll try to package up those improvement options into short, mid, and longer term strategies. Does that answer your question? I don't know if I can get a number.
I greatly appreciate it. I do feel like over the last 10, 15 years, we keep studying this intersection, but we also keep saying that it is one of the most dangerous and fatal when it comes to the city of Clearwater. And I'm not sure if we're hoping to get some other answer from it or what is actually holding us up, because I think we all would say that you're going to have more cars, more traffic, and more pedestrians, more bicycles, e-bikes, and everything else that only make it more dangerous.
Right.
Thank you.
It's a challenging corridor because of the number of driveways, the long distance between traffic signals, the mobile home parks right across the street from Publix, and we've seen a number of fatalities of people crossing mid-block. So, and then coming off the bridge, people are doing 70, 65 miles an hour, and suddenly they're in a 45-mile-an-hour zone that drops to 40. So that mindset's hard to shake. That's two of our big challenges right there.
All right, anyone else? All right, thank you so much. Oh, yes.
Just a quick question.
I'm sorry, Vice Mayor.
Just a quick question. I noticed you said there were different grants. How many different grants do we deal with?
So Ford Pinellas, we provide grant funding for planning projects, and then we also open up our priority list to local government construction projects. So those are really the two that we manage as an agency.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
Any other
Thank you very much.
questions? All right, thank you so much. And next we have the item 7D, the State Road 580 corridor recommendations. And for this presentation, we welcome Jensen Hackett and Jeff Novotny from FDOT. Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, Board. Jensen Hackett with the Department of Transportation. I am the Bicycle and Pedestrian Planning Program Manager for the department. I was acting project manager for this project from the department side. And then I also have Jeff Novotny, who is the consultant project manager. And we're going to walk you all through the State Road 580 corridor study. Now that we have the study wrapped up, we wanted to come back and present to you our findings, as well as answer any questions that you all might have as part of the overall arcing themes of the corridor study. So first things first on the study, just taking a look at the actual planning area and what that looked like. We actually took a look at State Road 580 from end to end in Pinellas County. So we started over at the Alt 19 intersection with Skinner Boulevard in the city of Dunedin and worked our way all the way over to the intersection of Tampa Road and State Road 580 in the city of Oldsmar. There were a few projects that did come online as we were starting this study. This study kicked off back in 2021, and we had the extreme western piece of the project right over in the city of Dunedin was the Skinner Boulevard project, which was a lane repurposing project, as well as adding a few roundabouts with the city of Dunedin. This was on your priority list a few years back for that project. We took that piece out of this study and looked at some quick little operational improvements at the intersection of Alt 19 that Jeff is going to get into a little bit later. There was also a resurfacing project that came online over in the Safety Harbor and Oldsmar areas that did take care of some of the recommendations that we had as part of the study. So we took those recommendations out because those were actually placed as part of the resurfacing project that wrapped up just a few months ago. But this is the entire corridor study, and it was 8.5 miles long from end to end. We didn't do this in a vacuum as well. It wasn't just us trying to recommend things that you all would approve at a future date. We worked closely with all of the local jurisdictions across Pinellas County that were active within the jurisdictional boundaries of State Road 580. So that included not only the MPO and the MPO staff, PSTA, and Pinellas County, but it also involved the 4 cities, Dunedin, Clearwater, Safety Harbor, and Oldsmar. And together we formed a PAG group, was a planning action group that we had. We actually met 4 times as part of the entire corridor study, starting in January of 2021, and we had our most recent meeting last year. We also went out to the public as well as part of this. We had a whole entire public information push as part of this that culminated in a public meeting last September that Jeff will cover a little bit later on in the presentation. So in terms of the corridor vision, we looked at the corridor as a whole for improving safety for all users of the corridor, and we wanted to make sure that we could develop context-sensitive solutions so that we could enhance the corridor while also making sure that we were protecting vehicular volumes, but incorporating safety and multimodal usage between users along the corridor. And so with this, I'm going to turn it over to Jeff Novotny, and he's going to walk through the rest of it with a lot of the technical language that he and his team came up with as part of the corridor study.
Thanks, Jensen. Jeff Novotny. As part of the overall corridor, obviously the first thing we want to do is collect the existing data, try and figure out what the traffic conditions were, safety data, any roadway deficiencies that currently exist so that we can make sure that we evaluate those. We developed a number of different documents as we went along and as we presented to the project advisory group, so they had that information as we moved ahead. We had evaluated future conditions in terms of future traffic using the future traffic model, get an idea for what the future conditions may be, developed solutions, both in terms of short-term and long-term solutions. The difference between the two is essentially the long-term solutions would be ones that would require additional right-of-way, which adds time, it adds a funding element to it as well, and also has an additional coordination point relative to adjacent property owners. So we had that caveat element between what would be short-term and long-term improvements. We developed those, identified what they were, came up with costs so that we can do an evaluation and comparison of them. We also looked at how they would provide benefits and ultimate solution, and developed an overall corridor development plan, which is what we ended up finalizing. That development plan looked at all these various improvements and measured them against 6 different criteria that the PAG helped us develop. We looked at those that provided immediate safety benefits. We looked at those that happened to be in areas that had a history of crashes that we wanted to look at solving. We looked at projects and how they would enhance multimodal use, bike and ped and access to transit. We looked at those that provided enhancement to traffic operations, so traffic flow at intersections, reducing delay. We also looked at cost. And in terms of cost, we looked at those projects ranked actually higher that had lower costs, because we knew that they would be able to be implemented sooner than those that had larger dollars to them. And then lastly, utilizing the public input from our public workshop helped us look at not only the projects, but look at how they were prioritized. So the workshop we held in September of last year, we had members of the public attend. We had invitations went out to, I think, about 1,200 or 1,300 residents adjacent to the project, as well as stakeholders along the corridor. All the comments were generally in favor of making improvements that we had proposed in our corridor study. What we asked the public to do is to provide us input specific to rank what they felt were the highest 3 priority projects that we list. And we use that in terms of trying to look at those that may gain more points in the scoring system since they're in favor, the public's in favor of them, look to advance those sooner. Our final ranking identified about 17 different projects, as I mentioned, a batch of short-term improvements and long-term improvements. I'll go through those in general. We then met with the Forward Pinellas staff to look at those projects and their priorities, and they helped evaluate them, looked at grouping them into priority groups that might be able to be funded in certain packages along the way. Those that were higher priority versus lower priority. Now, some of these projects can be added to either ongoing or upcoming projects. And as Jensen mentioned, one of the resurfacing projects actually took care of some of the improvements that we had proposed. So other resurfacing projects that come along down the line might be able to incorporate some of these improvements. Might be an intersection improvement, might be another safety improvement. So there are ways to take parts and pieces of the overall program in some of these priorities and drop them into active projects. In terms of the actual individual projects, first priority that came from the staff list, there were about 9 different improvements, short-term improvements that could be looked at immediately. And then others as they went along, overall 7 different priority levels. And I'll go through these fairly quickly, but highlight what they are. So the first priority projects really had 4 different components to them. First is to provide projects that provided intersection signing to improve pedestrian safety. And this was at 4 different locations, at Alt 19, Achieva Way, Overcash, and Pinewood Drive. And this is providing signage. It's fairly low cost, but it'll allow drivers to be more aware that there are pedestrians crossing at those locations, and also provide more safety for the pedestrians that do cross, because they'll have a little bit more backbone behind them in terms of being aware, people being aware of them. Another priority 1 project was looking at the US 19 intersection and in the frontage road crossings below to provide crosswalk improvements there. To shorten some of the crossing distances, provide some refuge for pedestrians as they cross through the various intersection components of that location. We looked at priority 1, also had some signing and lane delineation improvements. And at 3 locations, at Countryside, at the old Tampa Bay Bridge, and at Tampa Road, drivers sometimes have a hard time figuring out which lane they ought to be in. And this will enhance the signage and the lane designation so that drivers will have a better feel for which lane they ought to be in as they approach those different locations. And coming off the old Tampa Bay Bridge, there's an intersection immediately just to the east of there And that signage would help identify that crossing to alert drivers. So again, these are fairly low-cost improvements that could be made. The last priority was to provide an access management improvement at the Enterprise intersection. There's a lot of turning traffic that happens just west of the US 19 interchange there. And this will help kind of keep people in the right lanes as they approach that intersection, but also provide some safety at that location. Any access management improvement would require additional public outreach and coordination with the local groups and those that may utilize this access point.
I have a
All right,
question on that.
If we could pause for just a moment, we have a question from Vice Chair Eggers.
Thank you. So I'm not sure what that's showing. Is that showing a solid?
This, yeah,
So
it
you can't
essentially
cross, you
shows-
can't cross, if you're going north on Enterprise, the only way you can turn is right?
Correct. It would be extending the concrete separator that is at the intersection at US 19, which is to the right of the picture, a little bit further to the west, beyond the Enterprise intersection. It also provides a little better designation of the laneage through there as the lanes kind of shift as well.
So that retail center on the north side, were they contacted? Did they give you any thoughts about because you're closing their access off completely. That serves, and again, I understand the piece from Enterprise because that's just crazy in there. But when you go a little bit further east, there's a turn lane that gets you very clear access sometimes right into that center. So are we closing that completely off? Is that the recommendation?
That's what this shows. That's what this recommendation was. They were contacted in terms of the public workshop, but obviously this improvement would require additional coordination.
Yeah, I'd like to take a look at that again. I mean, that little piece alone, I do understand the other because it's going to take away a lot of people's convenience, but it's really, I don't know how you do it because you've got the folks coming out of Costco as well right there. They're side by side almost. And, so it's a difficult matter.
I just want to jump in, Commissioner, and clarify just really quickly. These are just the recommendations, so these aren't a project that's going to go in the next week. If we were to do this, this would require all of that additional involvement with that center to get that modification happen. So
Okay.
It's not something that we're just going to put in overnight. That would need that additional coordination with that parcel in particular.
All right, so no, the approvals that we're taking today, actually, we're not taking specific approvals, just conceptually.
Correct,
project.
yep. These are just all the recommendations for you guys to kind of ponder.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Priority 2 projects, there were elements that involved mid-block crossings. We looked at a couple locations that seemed to bubble up with pedestrian traffic at the time, and those providing better safe crossings. Between New York and Patricia and between Keene and Achieva were 2 locations that we saw that made sense. It's difficult to kind of put it into mid-block crossings in the corridor because there's so many traffic signals already. These were locations that were far enough downstream from existing signals, but in terms of implementing this, it would require some additional coordination, looking at pedestrian counts at the time, maybe looking at the land uses adjacent to them to see if this is still the best location. Maybe they need to be moved downstream or a different location at all, and obviously would also require a public meeting to install as well. So again, this is, as Jensen mentioned, with all these, it's a recommendation for further evaluation for implementation.
So on that aspect, when you're doing mid-block crossings, which they're crossing anyway, so if we can give them a little more protection, that's good. So is that, I'm just trying to think out loud, that the one at New York and, is it New York and Patricia? Is that one of them?
That's the one shown on the picture, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe about 600 feet or so downstream or west of that intersection.
So if that light goes off, is there going to be like a refuse island in the middle so that they're not going to cross all 6 lanes at one moment?
Correct. There would be a refuge in the center to provide refuge for the pedestrian coming across. Okay. And this one, whenever there's a mid-block that's close to a downstream traffic signal, in terms of coordinating those signals, would be a component of that as well.
All right, and Councilmember Menino?
Commissioner, are you finished?
Yes.
Yeah, same exact. With that pedestrian refuge in the middle, is that going to, and I hope it does, is that going to impede drivers coming out of that Save-A-Lot parking lot from taking a left and heading west? Because that is they do it all the time. I think it's probably illegal, but it is dangerous. And if we're putting a pedestrian walk there, that's going to make it even more dangerous.
And that's, again, another component of looking at it to find it, is this the exact best place to put it? We said in general, west of the Patricia intersection made sense from a crossing perspective. Maybe it needs to be a couple hundred feet further downstream. So that would be one of those components would be evaluated further. So.
Maybe closer to the retirement and mobile home complex where they seem to cross to come shop.
Sure, and then as land uses change over time, maybe it is the best location.
Right, exactly. Appreciate it, thank you.
Sure. Priority 3 project, as Jensen mentioned, we had PSTA on our project advisory group. They provided us some input.
Gina, I'm sorry, before you leave that priority 2, I've got one question, because we just were looking at this recently, and I think you've already answered it. We have room to breathe, but because not too much past where you are, you're up to Bass Boulevard where Skinner is, and that is where our largest continuing care facility is, mostly independent living apartments, and there's horrible connectivity there for people to get out, get to Main Street, cross the street, go to Clear Sky Restaurant. So actually, there could be some play here to try to do something with that as well.
Absolutely.
Maybe? Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Priority 3 was a project in the Countryside Mall area. PSTA buses use essentially the outside lane in the eastbound direction for bus transfer. And what it does is it ends up blocking some of the traffic in the bike lane along that area. We looked at a couple different scenarios that PSTA might be able to provide. We might be able to provide some form of a better transfer opportunity for them. The one option that made the most sense from PSTA's perspective was along 580 there on the south side to create bus bays. This would require right-of-way from the mall. Obviously, would require coordination with PSTA to make that happen, as well as to coordinate with the property owner. But it certainly would be an opportunity for improvements for both bikes, pedestrians, bicycles, and vehicles traveling there, as well as a more safe opportunity for buses to load and unload in that area. So it's priority 3. Obviously, it would require extensive coordination with PSTA to keep moving forward. Priority 4.
Commissioner Flowers.
Yes.
I think this will be a wonderful addition. I had a conversation with Whit Blanton. When the buses were pulling in at Tyrone Mall years ago, they would pull in right at the food court. Then that became an issue, so they moved them around by JCPenney's. That became an issue, so PSTA did the bus carve out right there on 22nd Avenue, and it has worked out fabulously there. The only concern is if it's raining and someone is disabled. It's a nice little trick to get up to the doors, but it does provide safety. The shelter that's there for people during weather issues and concerns. So I think this would be, as I shared with Whit, the perfect opportunity if we could get the support from all sides on this one.
Thank you. I actually thought of the same thing when I saw that and thought about how well that works and how complicated it would be if we didn't have that at Tyrone. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about this as we move forward. Did you have a question?
Do we have any other bus stops identified on 580 that have this same approach, or is it just this large one here?
This is the one where it had the most interaction of routes kind of crossing and changing traffic and seemed to cause the most, I'll say, operational and safety concerns along 580. So that's the one we focused in on.
There is one at just west of Keene on 580 that stops like within, I don't know, I'm probably exaggerating, maybe 50 feet, 100 feet of the intersection, and cars come over top of that hill. It is a real problem, and cars having to stop because they can't stop and then back the intersection. So it's a real problem area there. I mean, and it's a safety issue, big time. We've had a couple cars that have rolled, because of the traffic and the interaction. So that's one for sure because of where it's located we ought to look at.
Thanks for your input.
Jeff, if
I
I could
don't,
just
I don't think you're talking about a transfer station, though. It's just where that stop
stop.
is.
It's a
Yeah.
stop. Like-
So this one is a transfer station
I
mainly
get
because it's
it,
at the
but
mall.
we're talking safety, and that's a terrible
yeah.
stop. And it should have that pull-off as well to get you already have the big bike lane, so it wouldn't take much to move that a little bit.
We've had a discussion here about pull-off lanes or bays for transit before, and I did have a conversation with PSTA, and they're willing to work with us to develop some criteria and start looking at some high-priority bus pull-off opportunities that we could kind of work through incrementally over year, and that's something we can put on the priority list to fund.
It might be a Truist Bank there, so we could give them a little free advertising for that little cutout area.
So
But
I
it-
love that idea. When I rode the Euclid Avenue Bus Rapid Transit in Cleveland, every station is sponsored by a business that's nearby, and it's prominently featured. You hear it as you stop. And it's a nice way to give business recognition right next to where that stop is. So, yeah, if there's a way to work that in, I'd be happy to look at that.
And then the projects that kind of fell lower in the priority list. At the Keene Road intersection, we looked at a short-term improvement to extend the left turn lane separators a bit to provide better safety, close off a couple areas where there's an opening in the separator, and add pedestrian refuge islands at that intersection as well. So look at several different elements in terms of both safety operations and pedestrian safety. Priority, oh, yes.
Yeah, just on that one. So with it being priority for long, okay, well, actually short-term, like, what does that really mean? Like, how long will I be alive? No, I'm just curious how long that actually means.
That actually will depend on kind of the funding and how they fall and how the MPO or local agencies would fund different components of the study. So I think it was just a coordination with the staff in terms of looking at the groupings, what made sense in terms of those that could be done immediately and right away versus those that may take a little bit more time and energy to make them happen.
So it could end up anywhere. It's just about how the funding all lines up.
That's right.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Priority 5 looked at traffic operational improvements, some bike and ped safety access management improvements, as well as some traffic operations at the State Road 590 Felipe Parkway intersection. Looked at ways to add some turn lane to better delineate the turning traffic. These are a little bit more expensive improvements because they involve a lot more pavement improvements, but still short term in terms of not requiring any right of way. And then the priority 6 and 7. Priority 6 was looking at the old Tampa Bay Bridge and the Moccasin Creek bridges to add widen them to allow pedestrians safely on them in terms of a shared use path on the bridge. More of a fairly expensive improvement, and that would need to be timed in terms of how the bridge needs to be replaced as well. So there may be an opportunity if those bridges at some point would be replaced, that this would fall up as being an opportunity to include. And then the priority 7 was to look at widening the roadway in an area to provide buffer bike lanes from St. Clair to Tampa, to look at overall corridor access management improvements. These, again, would require a lot more extensive public outreach and coordination with the local businesses. And then the last one was to add a dedicated eastbound right turn lane at the US 19 frontage road. Again, this would require additional right-of-way. So long-term improvements provide some operational benefits. That movement is more heavily traveled in terms of a right turn lane than the opposite side of the interchange. There's about 2 to 3 times more traffic making that right turn at that location. And we saw that would provide an operational benefit for the intersection.
Matt, thank you.
Yes.
I did attend the presentation. I thought it was very well, and I used all 3 of my blue stickers, even borrowed some others. But it seemed like this US 19 frontage road one was collecting probably more stickers than anything else in that presentation because of how far that backs up. Is this being pushed into a priority 7 project because of cost and needing that right-of-way?
That was, in essence, coordinating with the MPO staff. Yeah, it was, I think that was really the driving force, was the right-of-way, the coordination with the property owner there in terms of that, as well as the cost. But you are correct. I mean, it has as many blue stickers as anything else.
As anything else, yeah, thank you.
All right, Vice Chair Eggers?
Yeah, I'll pick up on that because I've been we've had this conversation and they said, well, let's just wait till the study is finished, FDOT folks. And so we're waiting, and that's obviously not a high priority. So I still think in the morning during rush hour traffic that there can be a signage put along the roadway that says that's a right turn only during certain times of the day. Because you have people coming down Belcher Road in that long queue line, it's not FDOT's problem, our problem, trying to turn onto 580, and then 580's own traffic, and then they're trying to get onto 19. So if you make that a right turn only in the rush hour, it allows traffic to move a lot better, and it doesn't back up almost to Belcher, frankly, and certainly during springtime, when the snowbirds are here, it is awful, and it is dangerous, and it is a major problem, and I get the expense associated with that. I don't see anybody giving up their property on that corner because they're always, those retail stores are always crowded, and they'd have to be condemnation, and I'm not interested in that. But I do think we can do some inexpensive possibilities there to move that traffic, and I certainly would encourage FDOT to take a look at it. And I tell you, the down ramp, the off ramp from 19, there's 3 lanes on 19 or on 580. I'm just saying, and probably this is I'm an engineer by education only, and this will probably show with my question. But we have 3 lanes on 580, and only 2 lanes that are turning left onto 580. And I'm telling you, that backs up during rush hour again, all the way up the hill towards 19. And it's a problem. It's a safety issue, major. And so I think we ought to look at how do we move. I don't know if you can do the cycle any longer because you've got the 580 traffic, but another lane, 3 lanes of moving left. I mean, it is really bad. So that's something else to take a look at. I was glad to see that number 7, you kind of put all the center lane modifications down there because I know that in Dunedin, this was probably 10 years ago, we had the study done on that corridor ourselves. And we had all these ideas of how to beautify the corridor, and I thought they were great, like up on Curlew. Well, the businesses just, like, they almost strung us up. So we kind of backed away from those corridor safety adjustments and beautification both. But that's a real problem. And the only other thing I would say, I really like the improvements that you all have come up with. I'm assuming it was FDOT, that at Achieve Way, we had a couple of deaths there. So we've changed that intersection a little bit, Achieve Way and 580, so that it's a lot clearer and it moves traffic a lot faster. So I really appreciate that work. So,
Thanks for your input.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Scott?
Thank you, Madam Chair. On Old Tampa Bay and Moccasin Creek bridges, do we have any idea what the useful lifespan of those bridges is?
At this point, they're in good shape. So it's probably
a ways off.
Yeah, ways off.
Got it. And those are state-owned bridges, I take it?
They're state maintained, yeah, and they're on the state system, so yes.
All right, thanks.
The one thing we have to concern ourselves with both bridges is if we widen the bridge, we have to look at sovereign submerged lands. Will it require an easement, across those areas? So that's why it takes a little bit longer, not just the expense of the bridge, but maybe additional permitting and easement costs.
Okay, thank you.
So with that, next steps, we've essentially finalized our report documents. We'll take the input that you provided today, along with the input that we received from the TAC and the CAC and the Bike and Ped Committee a few weeks ago, finalize our documents, and continue working with Forward Pinellas on programming these future projects, look at opportunities to look at upcoming projects that the department may have or local agencies may have, to implement these, and certainly, work with you all as needed to continue working forward to improve safety, operations, and mobility. So with that, if you have any questions, Jensen Hackett is here.
All right, thank
On
you.
the study, and we have a project website that's listed there that will have the final report on it, as well as the agencies that were involved will receive it.
All right, thank you so much. Additional questions, Vice Mayor Eisner.
I had earlier you said you had a study group of 1,300. Is that what you said, something like that?
It was a fairly large group. We went out at least 500 or 600 feet on either side of the road and then kind of looked at neighborhoods that had their only access point being 580 and wanted to make sure that we incorporated them into our mailing list as well.
When you do that determination in that study group, do you also determine how many people are pedestrians, how many people are car-related?
We didn't do that in terms of those that we communicated with, but based on the traffic data we collected, we had to wait until after kind of the COVID element cleared through to make sure we had meaningful traffic counts. But we did take traffic counts at each of the intersection locations throughout, and that included pedestrian counts as well. So
when you do that, don't you think I'm just asking, don't you think it'd be a good idea to know? Because people that are pedestrians have a different request and a need than, of course, the cars. So, I mean, it'd be a great question to ask on that, so that you know who's leaning which way.
sure, absolutely. Great input.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, thank you so much for that information. It's really, really interesting.
Thank you all.
All right. Next is the director's report, and Whit has a few items to cover with us today.
Thank you. Just real quick, I want to thank everybody for joining us a week ago Friday at our work session. Those who were able to make it, thank you. We had I thought, a good discussion. We covered the Ford Pinellas budget, which is something that's getting close to being ready to present to the Board of County Commissioners at a budget information session. I believe that's coming up soon. And then we also presented the Gateway Master Plan development of recommendations to implement that plan in the cities of Pinellas Park and the city of Largo, tied to the Target Employment and Industrial Land Study, which is really aimed at reducing the regulatory barriers and incentivizing retaining higher wage jobs and adding higher wage jobs to Pinellas County. For both of those, I thought the feedback and discussion was helpful. We may have, aimed a fire hose at you, so I apologize for that, but it was a lot of information. I wanted to see if there was any specific questions or follow-up or requests or suggestions for other topics that we would bring up in a future work session, or if anybody had any feedback from Friday. Did we satisfy you enough?
Oh, Councilmember Floyd.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll give you feedback. I enjoyed Friday a lot and thought, the conversation around the budget was really helpful. I like high-level conversations like that. I've mentioned it plenty of times to you. Yeah, I mean, you asked for feedback. I just wanted to say I enjoyed it, really. And look forward to anything else that we can do that sort of helps us wrap our head around the big picture of things that we're doing here. I liked that the agenda was ambitious, but not quite like the first one. Yeah, so I'll give you that feedback as well. But no, I
got that feedback already.
I think the first one was really ambitious, yeah, which I appreciate, but it took a lot. Anyway, no, I enjoyed it, and I just wanted to tell you that I think I really got something out of it, and so I look forward to the future ones. Thanks.
All right, Mayor Franey.
Yeah, I'm just going to add, I've enjoyed both the workshops. I mean, I kind of, I second that, because I think that as a new member, it just helps to get all the big picture things, and obviously the budget's one of them, but there some of the other bigger projects, it's extremely helpful so that, you get to a point you feel like you're hitting the ground running a little bit. So, thank you.
Vice Chair Eggers?
Yeah. Do we have a summary coming out from, that meeting? Do we have that coming?
I'm currently working on it, Commissioner Eggers.
Yes.
Say that.
I'm currently working on it. I'm about halfway through.
Okay, perfect.
Trying to get all the discussion
I'm
points.
not rushing, I'm just saying, are we having one coming? So that's
we will.
perfect. That's
We will.
great. Thank you.
And it was also pretty clear that as we went through the budget discussion, that there was an appetite, a desire to talk a little bit more about the potential merger of the MPOs, because we are reserving some funds that we might need to start up for that. So as we get the consultant on board and begin making some additional steps in that and start looking at alternatives, we'll incorporate that into a workshop for sure.
Yeah, and I'm sorry I missed it. That sounds like a great meeting, and I had a funeral that morning, just couldn't be at two places at once, but it sounds like it was a good turnout, so.
You're going to get the full workshop one-on-one, because I am meeting with all the county commissioners, because they are required to approve our budget, and that's going to be an important conversation. So, Commissioner, I'll be sitting down with you.
Oh, a private audience. See that?
Tina?
Yeah.
I just want to let you all know that the next work session is going to be taking place in September. So be on the lookout for a doodle poll so I can try and corral you all into a date that most of you can agree upon.
Right, and with 19 members, she does a good job trying to get most people there, but it's probably unlikely that we'll have all 19 there.
It's budget time.
That's right.
All right.
Next item that I have is the legislative summary, and I am not going to go through the whole thing. As you know, the legislature is still meeting. They have yet to pass a budget. There are some bills that are still in play. I think there's a list of 16 bills that may still be considered. One of those bills is pretty concerning. It's House Bill 5501, and it would essentially not eliminate, it would redirect the documentary stamp tax that goes to transportation into the general fund. And that currently is used for New Start's transit dollars. It's used for the Transportation Regional Incentive Program, which we funded a fair amount of projects with that, and some other transportation programs. And the loss of that would be a significant loss to transportation revenues. So that you may want to take a look at that bill. I will highlight a couple of bills that passed. Senator DeSegli passed Senate Bill 462, which has some language in there about micromobility. It changes the definition of a micromobility device to align with the definition developed statewide by the Bicycle and Pedestrian Coalition, and it allows local governments to adopt minimum age requirements for e-bike operators and provide micromobility e-bike safety training. Now, it's kind of passing the buck. It's shifting the burden to local governments to do that. It's not providing any funding for that, but it is enabling that. Frankly, I think you're enabled to do that training today if you wanted to, but this specifies it in state law. For the MPO, there's some language that adds reduced traffic and congestion as a core MPO strategy, something we don't disagree with. But reducing traffic congestion in Pinellas County has some challenges just because we're not able to widen a bunch of roads. You know, we're going to have to work with the Department of Transportation now to develop some performance metrics, and then they're going to be reporting on our success or lack thereof at achieving some of those metrics. It adds that DOT will convene annual trainings and annual meetings of the MPOs of similar size to share best practices. This bill does not eliminate the MPO Advisory Council, so they live to fight another year. And there's some expectations for the MPO Advisory Council to demonstrate their value over the next year as well. And then we have other performance measures such as safety, infrastructure condition, congestion relief, and mobility that must be included in the long-range transportation plan and the TIP and published on our website. So we're prepared to address those. We're required now to incorporate advanced air mobility into our long-range transportation plan, and the department is instructed to include air mobility into its work program. So advanced air mobility, I think I spoke to you a little bit about, is I'm on a task force for St. Pete. It's vertical takeoff and landing vehicles that start at a vertiport and end at a vertiport. These are all emerging technologies, but they're supposed to be ready for market for passenger travel in 2028. So we'll see if that's happening, but that's right around the corner, and it's real soon. There's some other language directing DOT to complete gaps in the strategic intermodal system and other associated aspects of transportation. A bill that passed raises penalties for driving or boating under the influence, resulting in death of a perpetrator if the perpetrator has a prior conviction of specified offenses, certainly relevant to Pinellas County right now. Hazardous walking conditions passed that expands the definition of hazardous walking conditions for people going to public schools. I won't read all these. There's an amendment to the Live Local Act that expands the Live Local Act and incorporates it into some additional land use categories and kind of doubles down on the act. And then there's a bill that's still under consideration relating to rural communities and addressing some of the provisions to enhance and strengthen the economic competitiveness of those rural communities. And then finally, House Speaker Perez has announced a select committee on property taxes that is meeting, and it seems like they're pretty far apart with the governor and the Senate right now, but that committee will be meeting over the year to potentially put some items on the ballot for next year. And there are a variety of reforms that include raising the homestead exemption, raising it for people who are 65 and older, and significant, like to $1 million. And then also requiring local governments and special districts to hold referendums on their property tax values. We are a special district, so conceivably Ford Pinellas might have to go out for a referendum for our $7 that a $600,000 house pays. There's a lot to cover here, so I guess stay tuned, and we'll know more by June 30th when the session is supposed to end. And then if I can go on, unless there are questions on that, I'll just wrap up with.
Sorry,
Oh, yes.
Councilmember Menino?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Wait, just really quick. I attended the advanced air mobility presentation. Regardless of what this room thinks about it, it's coming to Florida. Florida is leading the way, being a pioneer in it, and the FDOT is pretty heavily behind it. I was a little surprised at the lack of attendance, per se, in that presentation for elected officials. Is there a way we could invite them to do a presentation here with us?
I think they would be welcome to that. They're going around the state right now with this high-level training, and there's some materials on the website. What I will do is share the website links to the full board, and then we'll work with our District 7 staff to see if we can schedule an opportunity to have that conversation here at a board meeting.
And last question regarding, is the City of St. Pete's Air Mobility Task Force, is that going to be streamed so outsiders can watch, or do you have to be there in person?
It is being streamed. That's my understanding. Future meetings will be. I'll coordinate with the City of St. Petersburg, and I want to thank Chair Driscoll for appointing me to that task force. Thank you so much for doing that.
Absolutely.
And former council member Ed Montanari is the chair of that group. And we had former Senator Brandis speak to us on Monday. There's a lot of opportunity here, and certainly looking at Clearwater Air Park, Albert Whitted, Tampa International Airport's leaning into this technology. You know, by putting it in the long-range plan and directing DOT to put it in the work program, it's pretty clear that there's an expectation that we'll be spending public dollars on advanced air mobility. And by the way, these vehicles are designed to carry, right now, only one passenger, but the technology will evolve to allow up to 4 to 8 passengers. And it's meant to be like an Uber in the air. So cool. I have a lot of questions about cost and public benefit. And then it requires an enormous amount of power, energy, and fire suppression. So if you're thinking about putting it on top of a garage, it's going to increase the cost of the garage substantially. So Dunedin, take note. And then, I'm kidding. And then if you wanted to put it on top of a building, for instance, that may be cost prohibitive. And you're going to need, like, it's vertical takeoff and landing, but these things do not take off and land vertically. They have a very horizontal footprint because they'll use up all their battery if they go up and down. seems a little anti-urban to me, but I'm willing to be convinced, and I'm going into it with an open mind.
Sounds like it.
Is Commissioner
Thank you.
Scheer going to be
And-
able to drive one? Is that?
Oh, no.
I don't know. I
I've
don't
seen
know
his
about
car,
that.
so yes, absolutely.
Well, before we go on, I want to add a little bit of context to this. So City Council created an advanced air mobility task force that will be in place for 9 months. I think you've had 2 meetings so far, so it's, just getting off the ground, no pun intended. I love it when I do that. And it's really to look at what is a technology that's accelerating so fast. And it's fascinating to me. The city wants to know, what can this mean for St. Petersburg? We have Albert Whitted Airport right there downtown. Can that be used in some way? There are so many different elements that go into AAM. What does St. Pete's participation look like? And it could mean that the airport has a vertiport and can accommodate, so that we, maybe in St. Pete, because of the location of the airport, we don't have to get too much into where do all these vertiports go, because we have a spot already. But how does that fit into the network that is going to be emerging with Tampa and other cities? Does it also look like we could be a center for research on this? Something that maybe isn't as operational, but more about advancing that technology from the inside out. So whatever that looks like, we've got a group of maybe 12 people on the task force, all bringing their own superpower that they, and background that they can contribute to this. And they're supposed to report in the fall to City Council on what their findings were and any recommendations that they have. Commissioner Flowers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The very last meeting that T-BARTA had was on air mobility transportation. Mayor Welch was on that committee, and I can't remember if he attended that last meeting, but we actually had the group that have devised this, looks like a helicopter slash Jetson slash plane thing. It transported up to 4 people. And we had more than one conversation about it. There were several building tops that were being looked at in St. Petersburg, and the route would have been going south down to Miami and back. So I don't know what part it may play, but I'll certainly look through my things if you're interested, and I can find the information that we had on that. But that was a very long discussion with T-BARTA. The costs, the average person wasn't going to be able to pay it. It was like $115, $120 one way, $115, $120 one way. So it was being really geared more towards that executive that needs to get to a business trip really quickly and back. But over time, the thought process was that, because of the number of trips and whatnot, that the cost would go down. So anyway, it was quite interesting, but it did look like a cross between a helicopter, the Jetson cycle, and I don't know, something on it. But anyway, it was
quieter helicopter.
It was quite interesting. The other thing, the last thing I want to say is, it's really curious. Currently, and I only know because when my son was younger, he got pulled over by the police on the trail. He had a moped. I think the max it would go was like 35 miles an hour, but he wasn't old enough to have a license. I didn't know, and he was riding it safely. But anyway, they drove him home with the thing in their trunk. So I would think that that same law, when it comes to electric vehicles, would apply to even the e-bikes. I'm just thinking out loud, would apply to the e-bikes when you look at age restriction. So anyway, I just found that interesting that he would create something when there's already a bill in place, there's already language in place that prohibits and puts age restrictions on the operation of
A few years ago, the state legislature defined e-bikes, and they defined them differently than mopeds.
Oh, okay.
So that may be what was needed, but at least the training is something that they're now sanctioning.
Okay.
That's a good point.
I just wanted to ask the
Shelley.
group, is there space at the Airco Clearwater St. Pete Airport for vertical lights?
Well, the good news is the CEO, Tom Jewsbury, was at our meeting. So even though he's not on the task force, he was there to listen. So when I spoke to him a few months ago, they weren't actively considering advanced air mobility at the airport. But I know Tom. I'm sure he's tracking trends and paying attention, and it was good to see him there. So I think that's certainly a possibility we'll look at. And we'll need to find a location on the beaches somewhere because that's going to be a destination. And there's no airport on the beaches, so we'll have to be creative about how to build a vertiport somewhere, if that's what the community supports. What the training stress that Councilmember Menino went to was really the role of local governments and sort of establishing by policy and in their comprehensive plans under what condition. And when I asked our staff, they had some thoughts and ideas, but the only thing we really have now is something called transportation utility, I think, and that's allowed in every zoning district in the countywide plan. So we're going to want to tighten that up a little bit if we amend the countywide plan for this.
Okay. And the task force was created to be small, but with a robust rotation of guests coming in, either to speak or to attend, so that it's more efficient and more dynamic. Councilmember Menino.
Yeah, thank you for entertaining that conversation. I didn't mean for it to take up that much time, but I think it's important to have, and what you said was exactly right. They're hoping that the conversation starts at the municipal level regarding our comprehensive plans. None of us have language that have vehicles flying around like the Jetsons, so it is important. I think initially they're saying the easiest plug and play for this technology is going to be our local airports. I know Tampa Airport is 100% on board and looking and being a pioneer of that with the rest of Florida. Clearwater Airport, our possible St. Pete, but I appreciate the city of St. Pete and being a pioneer in pushing this conversation forward, because we're all going to be able to learn from it as we watch and see where this goes and where it flies to.
Yeah, thank you. There is a website, there's a newsletter that I subscribe to that always has great information if anyone's interested in checking it out and learning more. If you just Google the Vertical Flight Society, it's all eVTOL all the time. And, but the frequency of the newsletters is not annoying, but it has really good information, even for regular folks who are not engineers and not experts at this stuff, can find and learn and understand. So it's really well done. I always like to scan through it and see what's new. So it sounds like this would be a great presentation if you can set it up.
Yeah, we'll see about doing that.
Okay.
If you'll just.
Yes.
A quick add into this. The Air Force is doing this as well overseas. We have vertical aircraft that has the abilities to fly as a jet. So it's interesting that we're having this conversation, because that is exactly what our armed forces are dealing with right now.
So much of our world was driven by innovation for the military.
And trips to outer space, yes, correct.
If you'll give me one more minute, I'll just finish the last item here, which is committee correspondence. We have in your packet the letters that we sent as a result of the committee's request to you on the Pinellas School District regarding the illegal passing of school buses. And the good news is the school district has responded that they will participate in that survey. So they're going to have their operators begin tracking instances of people illegally passing a school bus when it stopped. Sheriff Gualtieri, no surprise, was not very enthusiastic about the use of technology to ticket people or warn people who are illegally passing school buses, invited me to have a conversation with him about it. I think what I would like to do, rather than use that to advocate for that, is maybe have a broader conversation about safety with the sheriff. So I'll follow up with him on that. And then the last point is our Citizens Advisory Committee had a request of you all. When they look at the priority list, as many of you all may have today, you see a lot of projects there that are Pinellas County, City of St. Petersburg, Largo, Pinellas Park, our larger jurisdictions, and corridor studies in the city of Clearwater, things like that. They would like to encourage the board members to work with the smaller cities to encourage them to apply and identify projects that can get on the priority list. We assured the CAC that we work with all the cities and we do a lot of special projects and planning work for smaller cities. And I've been meeting with all the city managers. In fact, just last week I had a meeting with the Treasure Island city manager, and now he is no longer the city manager. And he was very enthusiastic about working with us on some things. So I'll keep that up, and we do have dollars to spend on our smaller local governments, but we do need to hear from them about what they need. And so we'll initiate those conversations, but if you're meeting, say at the Barrier Islands Government Council, or if you're meeting with any of the smaller communities, just remind them that we're out here and we're willing to help. And that's all I have, Madam Chair.
All right. Thank you. No upcoming events? I guess summer is upon us.
We have upcoming events, I think.
I think the Weekend Institute is on there and the TMA meeting.
That's right, Weekend Institute and TMA meeting.
Yes. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong section.
And also, just as a reminder, the next board meeting is going to be on a Monday, not a Wednesday. It's going to be on June 9th.
All right, so June 9th, same time, 1 o'clock?
Yes.
Fantastic. All right, does anyone have any other business for the board? Commissioner Albritton?
Yeah, I just wanted everybody to know that...
Mike, please, your mic.
Oh, sorry.
PSTA is putting on an industry day on June the 2nd and 3rd from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. right here in the Palm Room. It's in regards to the Clearwater Station, the multimodal center, and they're putting it in kind of it's prior to it's kind of for contractors and people that want to see the details of what the station's going to look like. And then also, it's prior to the release of solicitation for contractors. But they plan to put a shovel in the ground, hopefully in the fall. So it'd be interesting, I think.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? All right, well, thank you very much, everyone. This was interesting, and I look forward to seeing you all again in a few weeks. Our meeting is adjourned.